Hello and welcome to Leaders inStudio, Brazil edition. Where we travel around the world and we interview IT leaders to share their journey, experience, share inspiring stories, and obviously share with each other and with you the most innovative ideas and the most amazing success stories. My name is Zio Solomon. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer of Avenue Code based out of San Francisco, California. And I'm here to interview Ricardo del Razo. He's a CIO and Digital Transformation Leader of Grupo SADA. Hi, Ricardo. How are you?
Hi, good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. So I was searching Grupo SADA right before I came here.
Right.
Not right before I came here, but, close enough. And it's a fascinating company. So it's mainly a logistics, which is traditional business model, but now you have all the way down to volleyball teams.
Right.
So tell us a little bit more about that.
So yeah, it's very interesting because we actually have, it's a group of companies, so it's a conglomerate of 40 different companies. And yeah, we have all business models that you can imagine, right? Because we have a newspaper, we have media companies, dealerships, transportation, bioenergy companies as well, right? So, and the volleyball team is very successful. It's one of the most successful volleyball teams in the history. In the club championships, we're 5 times world champions. So that's pretty cool.
One day I would really like to know how you can make a volleyball team, how we can make money out of a volleyball team, but that's beyond me. But for now, let's stick to technology.
Sure.
So you're obviously one of the young overachiever. Tell us your journey to becoming a CIO at SADA.
So I'm actually from Mexico City. I was born there. I spent most of my life there until I joined GE, General Electric. General Electric in Mexico City. And after a couple of years, I joined a leadership program with GE. With that leadership program, I got the chance to live in the US, spend some time in Europe, in Asia as well. And when I finished with that program, they basically asked me like, okay, do you want to stay in the US? Do you want to go back to Mexico, or we have a great opportunity for you in Brazil? So I've never been in Brazil. I didn't speak Portuguese, obviously. And I was like, why not? It was the time of the World Cup, 2014. So I took a chance. I came here. I love it. I stayed for a couple of years before going back to Chicago. Then for personal reasons, I decided to come back here at the end of 2018. And I took the job with Grupo SADA. So it was 12 years with GE, and then now it's been 3 years with Grupo SADA.
Well, that's an amazing journey. I have to cut out of the script for a second and share with you that my first job out of college was General Electric Nuclear Energy in a technical leadership program. I think it's the same exact program, one of the most successful technical leadership programs in the world, actually.
Exactly.
And it was in San Jose, California, and it was in the nuclear industry. And I did have the chance and the choices to travel around the world as well. So
that's amazing.
You're literally the first person that I've ever met outside of General Electric that has the same experience.
Oh, really? That's amazing.
So let's go back and talk about technology. And this is an amazing journey I have to share. But one question that I would like to ask you, and this is something that even us at the Silicon Valley in the technology leadership are struggling with. We started delivering technology using, the waterfall methodology, and then XP, and then Agile became the trend. And I do have to say, Agiles, the fundamentals of Agiles of communications, collaboration, and co-locations. So with the highly distributed teams right now due to the pandemic, that it doesn't seem that it's going to go back to normal. That's a new stage. How do you see the world beyond Agile?
Right. And I think we don't have the answer yet, because as you said before, it was like black and white. It was either you were going for waterfall in the past or Agile. Then you had the chance to probably mix a little bit of both. But then with the pandemic, right now, actually, we have a really good example because we're right in the middle of an implementation, a very important system for us. And we can't have the same people in the same room for like user acceptance testing, right? Before you used to have like 20 people in the same room without a problem. How do you do that with COVID, right? So look, in my personal opinion, I think it's going to be a mix between some of the learnings from Agile with DevOps. We're trying to apply the DevOps methodology that focus also in operations to the agile methodology and come up with some sort of mix between the two of them, right? I think, as I said, we don't have the answer. It's so new right now for us, and we're in the middle of a really important project, like trying to figure out what the right balance is. But I think it's very interesting to see what happens with the next few months.
But it is going to be agile, the next generation, and for those of us who are joining us, you can probably add to the comment section what name would you think this methodology should be. So just a segue to this, what challenges you have due to the pandemic in your technology delivery with your teams right now? Highlights.
Well, look, obviously at the beginning it was we were able to go completely remote in like 3 weeks, which is we have 55 different locations where we're located between Brazil and Argentina. And we don't have the infrastructure probably that you have in some place like the US, right? Here you have places where the companies don't have the links for you to connect with a high bandwidth, right? Yeah. So you have challenges like basic challenges that you probably don't have in other places. Here it was just like that speed that we needed to evolve from being 100% in the office. We didn't have any remote option. We're very strict. It's a family-owned company. So it was very strict, like we want 100% of the time people here. Go from that in 3 weeks to completely remote. Right now we're completely remote. We're gonna go back to the hybrid model next week, actually. So it was the infrastructure challenges was the first thing. And now, as I said, I think with the system implementations, we realized that we're probably 80% of the things that you were doing in person, you can do it remote. But there is still this 20% that we're still trying to figure out how to get things done instead, because before you will have, again, like in a week you could solve everything with everyone in the room. Now it's taking 4 weeks. So how do you get to maybe 2 weeks instead? It's not going to be never probably a week, but you don't want to be 4 weeks either, right? So how do you get that period shorter?
You know, I have to share some of our experience because we've lived through the whole the same exact challenge. We went from being 4 delivery centers around the world overnight to 1,000 delivery centers around the world where everybody stayed home
remote
and basically had to work. And the system that we deliver, and I'm sure much like the ones you do, they're heavily dependent on securities. There's a lot of customer data, financial data, and to manage that transition while keeping different security and different data laws across governments and across nations and across cities in some cases, and you have to do it so quickly. And this is kind of what led to what we talk about today, which is an accelerated digital transformation. People that did that successfully were rewarded, obviously, through the pandemic. And those many roadkills that couldn't do it, they're basically lost a lot of the battle. And I would ask you, I had the experience where digital transformation used to take 2 to 5 years in some cases. And now we don't have that luxury. We didn't have that luxury, and it really got shortened to 2 weeks to 8 weeks. So how do you say to that from your world?
And actually, you touched on a very important point, just going a little bit before, back to the challenges. The security was a big challenge. We suffered a security incident right in the middle of the pandemic. So it was because of that, right? Because you were trying to be so fast delivering what the people needed, what your users needed, that we left the doors open. And that had a huge impact, because then we went to the other extreme. We're like, all right, now we need VPN, we need all the security measures that you can imagine. But then the productivity was impacted, and the financial side as well, right? Because security is expensive. So that was another thing that changed. And digital transformation, as you said, like it took without COVID, everything that we accomplished, all the things that we moved to the cloud, all the security measures that we implemented would have taken 5 years for sure. Especially because now it's so clear that in order to deliver what the people need, you need investment. that before it wasn't that clear, right? Yep. Now, if you're not investing what you need in those sectors, you're as you said, that you're going to be out of the game. So I think the realization that how important technology is and the investment that the organizations need to do is so clear now that you don't spend too much time with the investors, right? Talking to them and explaining to them why it's important. It's so clear that it's just you present your business case and they are like, okay, that makes sense.
That's definitely true. It did really campaign to things that we kept asking for in the past,
right.
Such as distributed team, virtual workspace. And I do have to tell you, while you did have to invest a little bit more in the heavily distributed infrastructures around the world in some cases, but it also opened the world as a market for talent. And you know that technology talent is very rare. And it opened a lot of executives that were against the distributed model. Now they understand the value of it and also understand that it would only work with agile. And there are some cost savings, travel, entertainment. Most likely, every CFO right now is having an ice cream cake thinking about saving an office space, which is the most expensive. So if for smart companies that did it well, I think they counterbalance each other rather nicely.
I agree.
So that is a good segue to my next question. The spectrum of services that you guys providing from logistics, which is an anecdote to the pandemic shutdown, right?
Right.
And all the way to volleyball and media and journalism. I would like to ask you, like, with the emerging technologies and the new innovations with virtual realities, how are you guys seeing your future?
Right. No, it's very interesting because, during the pandemic, we knew that with the logistics part, that is probably the most important from a revenue standpoint of view, the market wasn't going to grow for a couple of years, and it's still like shrinking a little bit. So we knew that the market wasn't going to grow. So we need to the focus was to be more efficient with the market that we had, to increase not only the revenue, but the profit on our revenue, right? Because our revenue was going to go down. So we started evolving to, like, for us, let me give you an example. The drivers are very important, right? How efficient the drivers are and how can we reduce the number of accidents on the road, because the insurance, everything goes up when your drivers are not good. So now we have a system, so a rating system, like what you will have in the Uber, right? Like you have five stars, but this is automated based on, for example, we have now cameras that look at the drivers when they are like falling asleep, like how often does that happen, how much time have they been driving, how many tickets have they have in the history. So that gives you a score, and you give more work to those people, right? And you give less and less, or you penalize those that are having a lower score, right? So we're using a lot of technology for that. We're trying to use artificial intelligence as well, machine learning actually, to understand the big data. We have tons of data that we haven't used for ages, because we have 3,000 trucks that are moving 150,000 cars per month. So you can imagine the amount of data that we have. We haven't done anything with that data for the last few months. We have tried to apply the machine learning to help us make better decisions. So we're definitely trying to be more efficient, and the technology is helping us to do that.
It's interesting. So not to put you on the spot, but how about virtual reality?
We haven't done anything yet, but that's probably the next thing that we should explore, like what we could do there. And now with metaverse and all of that, I think if you're not there, you're also going to be out of the picture, right?
That's right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your amazing journey as an IT leader, and we look forward to watching you grow professionally.
Thank you.
And hopefully you can bless us with another interview maybe in the future.
Yeah, for sure. I would love to.
With all these insights, once they materialize, would love to hear how they end up, how they become to fruition. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Ricardo. It was really a pleasure getting to know you and your amazing, brilliant journey within your
Thanks for the invite.
leadership.
I love it.
Thank you so much. And for those of you who joined us today and enjoyed this, I hope you enjoyed this insightful conversation, and stay tuned for new episodes of Leaders in Studio. And we'll see you later.